50 years ago today, this race belonged to Sir Sterling Moss. It was his greatest ever win. 19 years ago, Senna and Mansell went toe-to-toe. Today belongs to a man who pretty much owns this season so far, and a well-deserved drink of champagne for Sebastian Vettel. Well, Eddie, EastEnders follows us in just a couple of minutes, and I'll tell you what, for a popular soap, it'll have to go some to match the drama from here.
Well, this had drama right from the very start. We had drama yesterday with the crashes and the qualifying, and we had even more drama. Today was a remarkable day, and see that man there is probably the luckiest man on this planet at the moment. Sebastian Vettel, everything just seems to be falling into place for him. He drove extremely well, but things went always for him.
Yeah, from the start of yesterday, when the safety car came out in qualifying at just the perfect time, just as the rest of the grid were ready to take it to Sebastian Vettel, they didn't get the chance. But as we said before the race, Eddie, in this sport, you make your own luck, and at the moment, that's exactly what he's doing.
Well, he's put himself always in the right place, and Jake, as we know, having position is always so important. We know what happened yesterday. Lewis was very critical of his team because he got caught out. The person that caught them out, man here. Absolutely brilliant, and he just seems to be supreme. Since he became world champion, there's a new style of Sebastian Vettel, and I'm enjoying it, but he did have the rub of luck on his side today.
Well, it worked out so well for Sebastian Vettel. Serious frustration, I imagine, for Jenson Button. Just as he didn't want a safety car, he got one, and towards the end as well, just as he was starting to push again. Well,
not just that. There was some very serious question marks I'd have to ask about the team, the strategy, a whole lot of different little things. As indeed, not just McLaren, but Red Bull themselves had some very serious questions they need to ask. Strategy now is playing such an important role with current Grand Prix racing, and as I can see myself, I just think that some of the decisions, certainly in the tyre stops, of not knowing who's coming in and what tyres to put on the car, that was a pretty much very slack in my opinion.
Okay, there's Adrian Newey giving Sebastian Vettel a well-earned hug. Of course, you can design the perfect car, but without a great driver, it's not going to win any Grand Prix. So a nice rub on the head as well for Rocky, his race engineer. Congratulations to Sebastian Vettel. This must go down as one of the greatest days in his career. He described it as a dream come true for the team, and I think it's worth mentioning actually another man who had a dream come true today. Kamui Kobayashi didn't win the race, but a great drive on a difficult weekend for Sauber.
Well, you have to spare just a moment. You cannot imagine the relief around this paddock about the good news about Perez. His father told us that everything is cool, and fingers crossed to be back for the next race. For me, it was a remarkable effort by Sauber. There were some great drives today, but I think we have the man of the moment, or one of the men at the moment. Christian, that must go down as one of the all-time greats. I noticed you went up to the podium, so you obviously consider this one well worth being there for.
No, this was a really special race. I mean, we had a problem at the first stop. We had a radio issue that delayed Seb, and actually we didn't get the tyres on the car that we wanted, and then we had to adjust our strategy. And, you know, Sebastian made it work, and, you know, we worked our way out of it, and in the end he got a reprieve with, you know, with that accident, and, you know, hopefully Vitaly Petrov is, you know, is doing okay.
Yeah, indeed, we think he's okay. We were talking during the race, actually, we were saying that quick fit or ATS would have been quicker in those pit stops on some occasions. You must have thought, when that happened, that perhaps the moment that you would get to hold this today had been blown.
Well, I think the main thing was we didn't panic. We thought, okay, how can we recover this situation? And, you know, we tried something a bit different that was very aggressive, to do 60 laps on the Pirellis, and you know, it was working well. I mean, Sebastian, the pressure that he was consuming was unbelievable, but he was getting a great exit onto the start-finish straight here. He was focusing on the exit into the tunnel, and he was making it work, and that was what won him the race today.
But Christian, you'd have to accept, from a strategy point of view, it wasn't what you really wanted, was it? I mean, you had another, what, 25 laps to go on dodgy tyres, or tyres that were coming towards the end of their life. Without the safety stop, you could have been in serious trouble.
Well, you know how hard it is to pass around here, Eddie, and you know, Seb was pretty confident. You know, he was talking to his engineer that he was focusing on the areas he needed to be quicken. He knew he had to make those tyres last, and he just did an unbelievable job today. So,
absolutely,
you know, really impressive from him.
61 laps on those tyres, and we just saw it roll past us, and actually the tyres looked in pretty good shape. Well done today. Now, Eddie never got his hands on one of these trophies. He's
Jake loves to put me down, don't worry.
I think you should give it back, Eddie.
Oh, sorry. I was going to nick this and bring it home to my house, because it's probably better off there than in yours. It's overflowing in your place.
Oh, well done, Christian. Yes, another trophy. Indeed, their trophy cabinet will be overflowing, as will Mark Webber's. He had a great overtake right at the end, didn't he, on Kamui Kobayashi, but no trophy for him today. But still a pretty strong race for Mark. It was looking bad at times. It looked good at the end. How does he assess the race?
Oh, Mark, a pretty hard-earned fourth position today.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, we didn't really go long enough on the first stint. It's pretty normal with me on these tyres, so I just can't go long. So that compromised me. Then when I arrived at the pits, obviously we didn't have any tyres out, so I arrived and sat there, but the boys were running around, and there was obviously a communication problem.
And you'd spoken to the team and said you were coming in?
Oh yeah, no, they called me in. Yeah, the team called me in. So so obviously when you wait around here, it's, if you lose track position and you have to wait behind people for a majority of the race. So yeah, not bad to get fourth from there.
And a good pass on Kobayashi just right at the end.
Yeah, obviously he's a pretty difficult customer, you know, and you've got to get it right with him. I followed him for about 25 laps in the middle of the race, and I think he hit most fences around the track. So he's pushing, and it was a good, not easy out of the tunnel, obviously, with everything that's going on this weekend. You want to get it right, and so yeah, I don't even know why it helped me, but I don't know why we restarted the race actually, because for 5 laps, I don't know why we did that, but anyway, we did. I hope Vettel's okay.
Well, we all hope Vitali's okay, and of course, as soon as there's any news, we'll give it to you. We will be on the F1 forum, but this is the line that Sebastian Vettel crossed before anybody else. David Coulthard's hot-footed it down from the commentary box. And breathe, David. What was that like up there?
Well, I thought there was a fascinating race up until obviously we had that last safety car. In the end, of course, it was a bit like qualifying the last few laps. We were deprived, I think, of a real grandstand finish, but a very interesting Monaco Grand Prix. We did see some proper overtaking out on track. And of course, this place never disappoints when it comes to action.
Of course, and we saw some decent overtaking right from the start as well. Let's go back to the start of the race. And Fernando Alonso now, 2 weekends running, has just shot past Mark Webber at the start of a Grand Prix.
Well, he clearly has his start sequence working perfectly. So there's nothing wrong with the traction on that Ferrari. So the issues they have around the rest of the track clearly are more of an aero nature.
And I dare say, David, he would have probably challenged for the lead had the run to the first corner been longer. He does seem to have, whether, you know, just everything, the sequence, as you rightly say, his starts are electric at the moment.
Yeah, that's a very good point. If that was a longer run, it's one of the shortest runs to the first corner. You know, they barely get up into third gear and then have to brake down into the inside. And we're on board there with Michael Schumacher. He actually went into anti-stall, and what that means is there's a system on board that won't allow the engine to cut if it recognises that the clutch is being released too quickly. We see the contact there with the back of Lewis Hamilton. We didn't actually see what damage that did to Michael's wing, but we certainly know that that affected the rear underside of Lewis's wing end plate. And I wondered if that played a part in the increased damage that was there when we saw the Toro Rosso of Alguersuari ride over the back of him. Probably was such a big impact anyway that there was nothing else they could have
I'm sure
expected.
Mercedes, just coming back momentarily to the Michael Schumacher who we're on board with here, his start was really tardy, wasn't it? It was a shocker, and he tries to move up on the inside, which he makes a really clean straight. But the problem was, having qualified fifth, we were all expecting something really magic, and we were hoping that maybe we'd see the inspiration that Michael has told us is about to unfold, but it never appeared, and for me it was a bad race for him.
Well, he has made the most gains of anyone inside the top 10 this year, but it's easier to do that when you're further down the grid. You know, unsurprisingly, Sebastian Vettel hasn't passed many people at the start because he's normally starting on pole.
I don't particularly like that statistic. I don't see how it works, but anyway.
Let's have a look at an incident from the restart involving Lewis Hamilton and Pastor Maldonado. We'll mention Lewis's weekend in a moment. Just give us your thoughts on this specific incident, David.
Well, it's an unfortunate one. It could go down as a racing incident. You know, Lewis is clearly gone for the inside, and then by the time that Pastor realises that he's there, he's committed to his turn, and he can't really do anything else. You know, if he goes wide, he'll be on the marbles, and he'll probably crash anyway. So it'll be interesting to see what the stewards decide on that one.
A difficult one really for Lewis all weekend. I think it goes back to yesterday. He was super critical of his team about the strategy, and that frustration was evident for me all day today. I just didn't see Lewis being totally comfortable with himself, and usually the style and the fluency that you normally expect of a world champion like that. I think he was just far too aggressive in a place that you cannot afford to be aggressive.
It's a telltale sign actually when a driver starts criticising the team, isn't it?
Well, I said at the beginning of the show that I think we should actually applaud the fact that McLaren are not neutering their drivers too much. They're allowing them to sort of wear their hearts on their sleeve and share their views. But it does make it uncomfortable back at Woking if the drivers are calling into question some team decisions.
Okay, well, there are all sorts of people hanging out of their balconies above us. They just shouted, DC, we love you. So I think that perhaps that's a good time for us to get off air before they get too overexcited. But they've had a great view of the race, haven't they, today? That's just about it from us. However, as we disappear from here on BBC One, we head to the F1 Forum. If you want to join us, just press the red button. Just a reminder, there are a number of cars under investigation, including Lewis Hamilton. We'll wrap all of that up. The very latest news, of course, on the state of Vitaly Petrov. However, we do believe that he was okay, just complaining of some discomfort in his back. But that's where we're headed to now. There's some golf going on right now, and EastEnders will follow us. But guys, thank you both very much for joining us for this one. It's been another special one, hasn't it? They don't really make races like this anymore. They certainly don't make tracks like this anymore, and I have a sneaky suspicion that they never will. Thank you very much for joining us for the 2011 Monaco Grand Prix, one that will go down in history for one man in particular. Bye-bye. If you want high living, fast living, then this is the name of the place.
Let me get right to the point. I don't pop my cork for every man I see.
And Hamilton's up the inside.
Hey, big spender.
This is supreme sporting skill.
Hey, big spender. Hey, big spender.
Look at that, Alonso's right in there.
Spend
What a
a
shot.
little time with me.
Sebastian Vettel, he is the master of Monaco.
Fantastic, Seb. That was a champion's try.
Next time on Formula One.